Greetings and salutations, podcast listeners, and welcome back to the SofaBros podcast, the only place that gives love that one more chance. And today, speaking of love, I don't know if it's in the air. It's not really in the air. It's kind of in the air. You know what's in the air? Jacob, take it over and tell us what we're going to be doing today, what the fellow listeners of the SofaBros podcast have in store.
We are kicking off our month of Mescal, or Mescal, I believe is how it's pronounced. Paul Mescal, one of the biggest new stars of the 2020s, really, because that's when he first started. He's just on this fast track to absolute superstardom. And at the end of this month, we will be seeing Gladiator 2, which is without a doubt his biggest role yet, starring in a massive sequel 20 years in the making, backed by, one of the greatest directors ever in Ridley Scott. And so he has a small filmography. Why not take the month and look through and just let's get to know the guy and why he makes the choices he makes, because he makes some choices. And yeah, now, first off, not a film, but it's the first major thing he did. Normal People, an adaptation of a novel. I forgot the author's name. I took tons of notes and never bothered to say, hey, this is who wrote the book.
Sally Rooney wrote the book.
There you go.
And this would be our first show we're covering here on the SofaBros podcast.
I mean, limited series.
First limited series. First non-film.
Something episodic.
First
an episodic thing,
yes. Media that we're doing.
So this is a big one for us as the podcast in general.
A debut.
And it was fun that we got to watch it all together.
Yes, it was very nice. For some of us.
So, yeah.
Not so nice for some of us.
I don't think it was nice for any of us.
Some of us. All right, well,
significant points in time.
I'm just saying it was significantly worse for one of us.
Oh, yeah. Just, you had the unfortunate job of having to watch it along with us, but while you were on the job.
While I was at work, I was watching this.
Made somebody's efforts and emotions just a little bit tougher.
But so I kind of broke it down. It's 12 episodes. I broke it down into 4 sections because I feel like it's very kind of divided already.
Of course.
So I have episode 1 through 3 is like high school, or in Ireland, secondary school. Episodes 4 through 6, we kind of see them through college. Episodes 7 through 9, we kind of see them in that first point of life after college, where you're like exploring right before you kind of start taking life seriously. And then obviously episodes 10 through 12, adulthood, reality, where we're at. And so I figured to start us off, episodes 1 through 3, they're in secondary school. I'll kick right off with the conversation. Love the fact that it's not beginning on a new relationship or like them meeting for the first time. I love that we're starting midway through their senior year. It's already an ongoing, not thing, but like it's an ongoing, not even friendship, but like an acquaintance.
Yeah, they've been students.
They've known each other, for the longest time throughout primary and secondary school. So I love that we don't have to kind of see this
like an introduction.
Yeah, we just, and kudos to them for having such great chemistry off the rip to portray that those feelings. I also love that throughout this we kind of get both of their stories told separately, as well as their intertwining, which is obviously the point of the show. Camera work, next level. The uses of light, I loved. There's a lot of light usage.
A lot of natural lighting. A lot of like window light creeping through the window shots. A lot of like
100%.
When you go into a room, the light of the room is off, but you still have the sunlight peeking through. Like that's a really, really rare to find today. Not like ever, but specifically today, it's rare to find people that are going to use natural lighting because you can only film for a certain amount of hours to get certain kind of lights. So it's
And it's
very,
the beauty of Europe.
yeah, that's also true. They got a lot better and easier access to sunlight, stars, and all of that.
Yeah.
The dialogue, I think, is another strong suit. It just feels very natural and
It
just
does feel realistic. I'll say it feels like the way high school students talk. It feels the way like
Yeah.
assholes, bullies. Like I've there was a lot of conversations that were happening, a lot of moments that were going down where I'm like, yeah, I remember this part of high school. I remember the liking a girl but afraid what your friends might think type of like I
Yeah,
remember
not
all of
even
that.
not even like he couldn't even articulate the fact that he felt that way about her. He was just like, I was confused on how I feel, you know? When he wasn't confused on how he felt, he was conflicted about what he should do about how he feels, you know what I mean? Like he couldn't even really gather that point on when he was talking to her about how he felt. He was like, "Oh, I feel like I would be awkward if something happened between us in school, you know?" But that's not like not knowing how you feel, Colonel. It's like knowing how you feel and not knowing what to do about it, which
You
is
don't
I
know how
think
you would be
extremely
able to
different.
process
Exactly.
that public information. And yeah.
Well, no, he doesn't know how to
I,
process the information being public, but yeah, basically, but yeah.
I mean, but I feel like that's just like a standard thing for a
For
high school
teenagers, yeah,
student.
exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like that's what I'm saying. It
It's like
felt very high school.
she's like the one anti girl amongst everyone else,
Mm-hmm.
but that's the one that he likes, and he kind of care. He's like the guy on the sports team. He cares
Yeah.
about his perception
And
a
she
bit.
really didn't care, regardless. You know, like she didn't care if he didn't care because she still let it happen, nonetheless. Like
Mhm.
she was very adamant about like, oh well, it can just be a secret no matter what. You know, she was fine with it. They were both fine in what they were gonna do.
which yeah, and that when you first watch it, you're just like, okay, this is a high school girl. She has a crush. Of course she's gonna be like that, like, oh, I'll
Yeah,
do whatever you want to do. We can do that. But then
she's a little wet behind the ears.
yeah, but then when the story progresses and then you get the information that you get about who the kind of person she is, you think back on that moment and you're just like, this girl is really, really broken. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
see all of the breadcrumbs of like a shattered ceramic bowl and the scattered everywhere. It's like, because yeah, that's how I first took it. I first took it as, oh, she really likes him. She's gonna say whatever she wants to say that he will like, but then you think on it and you're just like, no, she has actual abandonment issues. Like it's terrible. But yeah, I find a lot of the acting in the high school to be some of my favorite of the overall limited series. Like I don't know what it was about that high school life, but maybe it's because I love the coming of age angle of it all. But
Right.
the high school years, I kind of wish we had just a little bit more. But it makes sense that they literally started the series at graduation.
Yeah, it was
Like
like midway through the year. They're preparing for their like finals
it was
exam.
already proms and
Their
everything.
yeah, their homecoming. So yeah, but again, just I really enjoyed that we didn't have to spend so much time having
No filler, exactly. No
these
filler at
people.
all.
We're thrown right into it, and it's like we're not gonna hold your hand. You're gonna learn these people through the dialogue, through their mannerisms, through how they act. Um, and within these first 3 episodes of them being in secondary school, I'm trying to like say secondary because that's what it was. Um, we also get their first time um, making love, which for me, I was it wasn't it was very raw and like pure and realistic. And again, that chemistry between the two, it just really shows. I couldn't believe like by the time the show is finished that they don't end up together in real life because it was genuinely
Yeah, it's one of
impressive.
those.
I think they are best friends, like, not,
No,
like,
yeah,
together
they're
together, but
no,
I think
outside, yeah, they're super close. Like they're
I think
very,
they
very close.
genuinely are, like, best friends outside of of movies and stuff, yeah.
But
So
which
that's
help
crazy. But yeah,
um
like what you were saying with the rawness, I do like the fact that he wasn't the virgin and she was.
mhm,
I do think that that does help give much more emotional value to the kind of characters that they are. because at the end, he was an experienced person, and she is not experienced in any way of not just sexually. What I mean by experienced each other is like experienced in life. He's gone out, he's had parties, he's on the sports team, like he does all this stuff.
Friends.
She goes to school, she acts up, she goes home, she acts up. So like knowing that she doesn't have any experience and she was ready to throw one of the most raw personal experiences two people can share right then and there was just, it's beautiful the way they set up how much she outwardly loved him. Like this wasn't I had a secret crush on you all this time. I mean, contextually, because where we are at the pilot, yeah, she probably liked him 2 years ago, 3 years ago, we don't know. And with that context, we might have established, yeah, she 100% liked him before the show started. And now you are seeing her finally being able to go after what she wants.
I know they brought it up at a point in time that they knew each other since they were like 11 or 12. I forgot what episode it was. But they've known each other for quite some time through school. And then even I feel like they've probably gotten to know each other more so within that year and a half because they have almost a bridge between them with Connell's mother being her cleaning house lady. And, them kind of just seeing each other in that way. Where just Connell going to pick up his mom from work or whatever the case may be, him having a reason to go over there. And speaking of moms, we don't really get too much of it within these first 3 episodes in secondary school, but you sense that her home life is nowhere near as together and as strong and bonded as Connell's is with his mom.
Oh no, yeah, no, they go through great lengths early on to show you she does not want to be home. And that's why every time they hung out at his place. They always hung out at his. I don't think they really ever hung out at her place. And yeah, it's a terrible, terrible home life. Also, shout out to the mother, the woman that played Connell's mother. She is she's probably my favorite of the supporting characters from this entire show.
She holds him up to his bullshit.
Oh yeah, she reminds me of a mother. She felt like how a mother would talk. She reminded me of my mother in a lot of scenes.
And I love like they played it like she seemed very young, and so they kind of played it like she was a young mother. She's been through shit, but she's also, what was it? The homecoming when he didn't ask
Marianne
to go, and she told him, "Get out of my car, get out."
Yeah, because that is when I said in my head, "Wow, that's actually what my mother would say and do." She would say, "Listen, you have to get out my car because I'm gonna say things that are gonna be hurtful, and I don't want to do that."
You're bringing this girl to my house, having sex with her, this, that, and the next, leading her on, and then you're gonna sit there and ask another girl to go to the most special dance of their, school lives.
Diabolical.
And then it's hard because it's not like he's gaslighting her or Marianne or the mother. They were both mutually agreeing upon a certain thing, but
a certain secret.
Realistically, you have to know that this girl she's not really agreeing to you're saying, "Oh, we can be secret," but she doesn't want to say that. She wants you to say, "I don't want to be a secret." That's a test. You are failing every test that this poor broken girl is throwing at you.
And to be honest, you can kind of see how much he cares about her when they're alone. You can see how very protective he is of her. Especially like when first of all, this is a good thing I think to have in media is like the I guess the depictions of sex, especially like teenage sex, and how the guys are very protective of the woman, like how Connell was very protective of Marianne the very first time that they did have sex. Like you could see how much he actually genuinely does care about her when they're alone, but he's just so afraid of what his friends were going to think about him.
And that's the issue, man. The more that I'm thinking about it, the more it's just like I love Paul Mescal's performance in this show, but I don't think I like his character. Like the more that I genuinely think about it,
it's not even his character. It's just his character's stage at his age. It's really not even his character. It's just
I think that
it's him being a teenager.
Exactly that. It's him being a teenager, and you wanted to bash his head in at the same time, but you wanted to kind of guide him in the right direction.
Yep.
Yeah, but even then, we're gonna get there. But even then, with the whole issue with the drunk dude and the wine and the kitchen, like we are grown adults. I will actually hit you, like me speaking from me.
Mhm.
If I was in that situation with the wine glass on the floor and the significance of the glass and everything, there is no amicability about this. I am cracking you one. Like, he did not do enough to defend her. And that's what I'm saying. It's not just the teenage mentality of it. It's they go through great lengths every single time in public, in person, in a group. He is quiet as a mouse. And it bothers me. It absolutely bothers me. And when they finally make him, stand up for her the right way, he doesn't even get violent. I mean, I guess I understand, being intimidating is still being intimidating, but come on.
He doesn't
That
need to
man,
get violent. He's a shy dude. He doesn't need to get
and
violent.
that's why I understand that a lot of this is about it's a significance of mental health. There's a lot of messages of mental health in this, many of which I can personally relate to. So a lot of it is seeing this character, Connell, and seeing myself and getting pissed off because I'm angry at myself. This show is great with the projection. This show is great to project all of your insecurities and anger on. And it's such a masterpiece of how I can just grab a character like this and say, yeah, I probably would have been in that situation and I probably would have done that too. And I have done it in high school. I have done that type of stuff in high school. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating how realistic this show can be. Sometimes
It's
when things are
frustrating to see
too
the character that you're really rooting for. You don't want him to make the same mistakes that you probably made when you were young.
every time he's
Legit.
making all of these mistakes. Because at this point, I'm 10 years removed from the age they were near the finale of the show.
Mhm.
So it's like, yeah, I'm watching all of these young kids, young children make these
Mhm.
mistakes, and I'm just like, don't do this. Just stop. And it hurts. It hurts.
Before we get into the college of it, I do want to point out, so the third episode ends with essentially Connell's friend saying, like, hey, if
They
you
don't
would
give
have
a
told us,
fuck. Yeah,
we
that's what
don't
I was gonna
care.
say. That I was gonna say that too when we
Like,
were
you could
mentioning
have
his
been with her
friends.
and it's fine. Like,
I know that's the fucking shittiest part of this
The
whole
worst part is they
thing.
knew he liked her.
No,
Like
they're not even. They
Yeah.
just knew what the shit was going on. They knew. They
Yeah.
knew that
Yeah,
something
they
was going
knew.
on.
They knew.
They just wanted him to be open up enough to
be
say that
okay
to
with
them.
it. Yeah, like it's crazy.
They would
It's
have welcomed
crazy
her
that he
into the
was just in his own
group.
fucking head the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, he was in his own head, but at the same time, he was in his own head because of his friend's behavior. We can't discount that. We can't discount
No,
how
no.
fucking rude they were to her to make it seem like they weren't gonna like her if he dated her. It's
You are
100%
100% right.
like
You're
we're not.
100% right.
He had fears instilled in him, so we're not just gonna completely. Although Connell should stand up for himself, to Dan's point from earlier, at the same point, we're not going to pretend like these fears weren't instilled in him by his friend group. Of course, he's going to feel weird to say something to his friends when his friends treat her like shit. Of course, it's not. You don't not sympathize. You definitely clearly sympathize with Connell in that essence of not wanting to tell his friends because they're asses when it came to Marianne.
Well, we saw
course,
at
no.
one point in time during that high school area where he does stick up for her in a way.
Of course. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't sticking up for her in the way that she needed him
But that was the
to.
whole thing is once he stuck up for her, you can see how weird everybody was acting in that moment, except the one girl that was with her. And then he started pushing himself back a little bit more because he was making it too obvious that
Mhm.
he cares about her. But it's once again, it's like I've been in those shoes. You just gotta say, fuck it. You can't let something that's good for you, good to you, go because your friends might not like her. Who cares at this point? Get new friends.
Yeah,
Get new
straight up,
friends.
got new friends.
There's too many people in this world to have the same four friends.
Yep.
Except for you two. You two stay.
And so this, I guess we can call it arc, ends off.
Yeah, this would be
Real
an arc.
sad.
But I want to bring up something that it's recurring that I noticed within these like arcs is
Mhm.
that so after the dance ends and they say, "Oh, we wouldn't have cared." We see Connell leaving, running in the street at night, and he's crying. That's just, I want to point that out. Keep that in mind. It's a very recurring thing. Every time a significant arc ends, I'll bring it up again, but leading into that,
No,
so
yeah, no,
now
you're right. I'm thinking about it now,
Yeah,
and it is a running theme.
where it's a way to move forward the time, I guess, in a way, is for whatever reason they chose to do that, but I caught on to it. And so moving on, we are now see them in college. Immediately, the first thing I noticed is it's almost like their lifestyle swapped. He's very
timid,
introverted now,
reserved,
timid, and she's,
life of the
everyone's
party.
friend at this point.
Everybody loves Marianne.
She got to break out and be herself, which is the case for a lot of people
Yep.
who are like that in high school, and they get to college, and it's a much vast, more vast majority of different kinds of people to get to meet and know. It's not cliquey the way high school is. It's just very one-on-one.
I also like that there was one shot of him from behind that we got the exact same shot of her
Mhm.
in the beginning of the series. Basically, to your point, speaking of the roles being reversed, him being her, and I don't know, that was just something that I picked up on.
Another thing that I noticed a lot more again in this portion of the show was, I felt like there's a lot more close-up shots on their face,
Mm-hmm.
whether it be them crying or even just like kind of staring. And this, I don't know if their relationship kind of gets toxic here. I feel like it does, just because at this point it's not only do they rekindle their friendship and their love, but they're also, going out and about with others and exploring other options. So I feel like it kind of becomes a bit weird in a way.
Oh, this is 100% the most. Well, I don't want to say the most because it does get toxic, but I guess as far as their what's the word I'm looking for? Their impact on others
Mhm.
becomes genuinely the most toxic it's ever been, because it's just no closure. They have no closure.
Yeah.
They didn't really get a chance to talk about anything. But they still have that love that was never. It's not like they broke it off because they didn't love each other anymore. They just literally she ghosted him until
Mhm.
she left, and then he left, and so there was never that goodbye. So they still have those unrequited feelings while still trying to fill the hole, that void. And you can definitely see with him, he was trying to fill more of that emotional relationship hole, and she was having more of a fun time, life of the college party type
Yeah.
hole. So yeah, like what you were saying, the lifestyle, the reason why the lifestyles swapped is because they were trying to find that other lifestyle that they had back in high school or
Literally.
secondary school.
Yeah.
Yes. So they were looking for what they had in others and couldn't find it, and then they found each other, and then yeah, it just gets very much. I would not want to be the guy dating Marianne. I'll tell you that straight up. I would not want to be that guy. The minute you tell me about Connell, that's it. You got it. You got it. I
Well, I
would
feel
Yeah,
like
not
at
be.
this
Gareth was a strong man for
yeah,
what he
but I feel like at
was.
this point in the show, it's not that far removed from where they left off to where it shouldn't be seen that much as a threat.
Oh, what did they say? It was like only like a year?
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't even think it was that much long. It may be like 6 months later.
Maybe I was about to say maybe just the
I
summer, because I
figured,
know they
they
graduated.
graduated. You got the summer, and then boom, college. So I don't think it could have been seen like that much as a threat, or Connell could have been seen that much as a threat at this point.
Yeah.
Because they again, like, they were hooking up here and there in high school, but they weren't
It
getting
was
to
just
the
high
points
school,
where they
Well, it's
yeah.
like
were.
you said with the chemistry.
I know, but nobody knows
Chemistry
that but
does
them.
not.
Yeah,
Chemistry
exactly.
does not lie.
And that actually brings me to my point, is where I feel like at this point they're out of high school. and they've rekindled, and they can freely be seen together, hanging out, doing whatever they want. But I still feel like they found a sense of comfort with just one another, one on one, in private. Still at this point, like they're free, they can do whatever they want, and they still choose to stay behind closed doors.
Yeah, and sneak it around because that's just kind of what they're used to with each other. You know, not even with other people, because like she can be in an open relationship and everybody know with Gareth, but with Connell, she's just used to sneaking around with him. Maybe she feels like he'd still be ashamed of her, even though she knows that she's the shit in this essence. But maybe he's also just had so much fear instilled into him that he's afraid of going public and fucking something
Well,
up. There
I
could be a
think
lot
it's
of
more
reasons as to
so
why.
of yeah, and I think it's more so that the way I interpret it, especially the way that this arc ends, is I interpret it as him not feeling good enough, him still feeling like he messed up in high school, like he's still beating himself up about the decisions that he made months ago when this girl is literally here saying we can move on. I'm not thinking about that. Let's just have our time. But he's still beating himself up about it. And that's what not bothers me, but that's what hurts me about how this character can just really be his own worst enemy. She would have said yes.
Exactly.
It's not the fact that he thought she would have said no. He even said it. It's the fact that she would have said yes. He knew he would have said yes to moving in. And like there was no. There was never gonna be her rejecting him to move in to look for that time. He didn't do it. He just didn't. To me, I feel he didn't feel good enough, at least yet. And then, bam, again, something happens, and it's just
Yeah.
Yeah. And before we get into that, there was in episode 6, they were at I think it was like a pool party. At this point, they're together again in the college era. They're back in being a relationship.
and this what I'm saying. That's what I brought up earlier. With every time something, it's not just
No,
high
yeah, yeah.
school. Every time something happens that
No,
she needs a defense, he's not there, but he's there. It's like he's in the room, but he's not
He's
speaking
not
up
doing up
to get to
anything.
her
Yeah.
defense.
damn, I was gonna literally say something along those lines. There's a shot in episode 6 that I thought was really cool, where Marianne
Marianne.
is waiting at a bus stop, and half the bus, in Sligo, her hometown, is like super dark and gloomy, and then the other half of the bus stop, which is heading back towards wherever her university was, is bright, sunny, and just promising. And I thought it was really cool because
Crazy. Yeah, of
obviously
course.
for her, Sligo's her hometown, yeah, but it's nothing for her. Like it's a piece of shit. Like bad home life, bad school life. Like there was nothing there for her aside from Connell, and he's not there anymore. So she
Nope.
was, it's
I'm gonna
hard.
put a pin in that one too because as beautiful as visual storytelling is, I also find that she has a very wishy-washy, toxic side to her as well. I'm gonna put a pin in the way they because I agree with you. I do feel like when they show like her hometown in the gloominess and then the endless possibilities in sunshine, I think they were trying to say something there. But then something happens in the finale where I'm just like, well, none of this makes sense anymore. But I mean, it does make sense, but it's like it
Yeah.
frustrates me.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you alluded to earlier. So at this point, the end of this arc, what is it? Connell, he can't afford to pay his rent anymore, and I'm gonna say he has too much pride to sit there and ask Marianne, "Hey, can I crash with you for the next couple months until
It would have been
I
like
think
3 weeks. It would have been a few
I think
weeks
his job was just closing down for like renovations or whatever it was.
from like
So
March to May or
So he
something
asked for
like that.
money.
um, and all he had to do was ask like, "Hey, can I crash with you?" And they're dating again. They're like once again dating and together at this point. And
Well, I
he
still would
couldn't
have asked
ask.
my friend if I can crash here.
Yeah, no, but yeah, exactly. So it's just like I feel like he has too much pride, essentially. Um,
See, I take it as doesn't think he's worth it. He doesn't think he's good enough for someone to want to help him. because he does show a lot that he doesn't take help, that he does a lot of things on his own.
No, yeah, he does.
So yes, it could be pride. Yeah, it feels more than pride.
Or it
Like
could be a sense of responsibility because one thing I noticed is neither one of them have a father figure.
it's another thing that I've noticed as well too. Neither of them have a father.
And he could have had a sense of responsibility, being the only man in his household. And as far as her situation goes,
That also does show to their love, not their love, but it also does show to the relationship that it's hard for them to really work because they grew up. Yeah, Connell grew up knowing what love was, but Connell grew up knowing what that coddled mom love is. Like we all know
yeah,
what that
I
mom
yeah,
love is.
I was just about to get it. I think that's why he is the way he is with her, and why she finds so much comfort in him.
Mm-hmm.
It in like a weird way, it's a very like loving sensation that she probably didn't have. We don't really get any information on either of their fathers.
But we know her mother is very cold to her. Doesn't care.
It's
We know her
very
brother
cold.
is a piece of shit.
Yeah, he tries to be controlling. Her mother's very cold, very doesn't is never really around. Has all this money. It is what it is.
So the abandonment issues is there. The
Mm-hmm.
abandonment issues is very much there.
And then again, after the whole not asking for help, we see them split apart again. He breaks up with her,
And
leaves, and again, this arc ends with him walking in the street crying. And then we come back to episode 7. Is now at this point, I don't think it specified how much more into the future we are. I'm assuming it's by the end of the first year of university, but we see that they are kind of rekindled in a sense. We see Connell going with his buddy from college who he lived with, on vacation, backpacking around Europe. Marianne now in a relationship with her former boyfriend's friend. I forgot his name, but the blonde-haired dude. We see them end up going into, what was it, Italy? At the villa, her villa. Right?
Yeah.
and inviting
Yes.
Connell,
Yeah. Because at this
Which-
point he's backpacking around.
which is wild work.
And then they ended up rekindling through messages and emails, and so Jamie, that was the guy's
Oh, the
name.
guy's name, her
That was
boyfriend?
the-
Yeah, Jamie.
Yeah. In that episode specifically, I don't know why, I loved the pool shot of Connell standing by the pool, and it kind of like being pulled back a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie's a piece of shit.
Of course.
Big time.
Like,
Big
piece
time.
of shit. He has this weird sense of entitlement to all of her things, because that's her villa, that's her money, like that's her wine, that's her everything. He has this
acts
weird,
like it is.
yeah. At this point, we find out she's into sadists, and being rough.
And it's
To be honest with
breaking
you,
Connell apart.
see, that's one of the things I did want to talk about, because I do like the way that they directed Daisy Edgar to be. Is she is not enjoying this? She's
She didn't
trying
look like she
again,
was
trying
enjoying
to.
it. Yeah.
No, not at all. And it even got to the point where like the dude stopped and he's like, "Yo, I don't even know what the hell to do here. Like, there's nothing I can do." Like, she's just bored because she was looking.
For
She
something
was
to
looking
fill the
for.
void of Connell.
It's also, I took it as punishment, her own sense of punishment. She's doing this BDSM sex stuff because it's the only way that she would feel like she's being made to feel worthless, right? From like all the people that shouldn't make her feel worthless. And as much as we don't want to admit it, or Connell doesn't want to admit it, there's a lot of moments, a lot of episodes in the show where he genuinely makes her feel
Absolutely.
worthless. even if it's not his intention. And I will tell him, listen, I know you're not trying to, but you have to see outside perspective. You're making her feel worthless by inviting some other girl to the prom when she likes you. Her parent, her mother, her brother, everybody. So what is she gonna do? If I'm gonna feel worthless, at least I'm gonna get some pleasure out of it. Let me try and find a satisfactory way to feel like a piece of shit while enjoying it. But even then, it doesn't work at all. It's just
Because it
it's
bleeds out
nothing.
into everything else. Jamie isn't just a piece of shit. He isn't only rough while the sex is happening. He's rough
No,
through
absolutely
and
not.
through. He's
And
an asshole.
we even get hints of that just in when they're in college.
Yep,
Like he's just always been like that.
an asshole.
Um, and so we get to it. Obviously, Jamie's not a
Happy.
fan of Connell being invited. Says remarks, says this, that, is getting belligerently drunk at this point.
Yep.
Obviously, this, that, and the next happens. She breaks it off with him. And then once again, we are left with Connell and Marianne together. I don't know if they were
right
actually like
decision.
together
But they
at,
were
on this portion, but they were together.
No, I
Mhm.
mean, yeah, they were together, but they weren't. I guess they weren't consummating the
Yeah.
relationship, because there was a moment where each of them have tried, but it got stopped, and it's like, we can't do this, blah blah blah. So it's so weird, because at this point you feel like, well, now everything should be better. Like you're much older, your relationships are now done, you're out of the whole, well, no,
I
they're
mean, I
not out of
wouldn't say
college yet,
much.
but
Yeah, but I wouldn't say much older. They were what, 21 maybe at this point.
yeah, because I looked it up, and the show takes place from 2011 to 2015.
Yeah.
Like that's their timeline is 11 to 15. So I
So
want to
if
say at
we
least
figure
2 years might have changed. No,
No, I
at
mean,
this
I
point,
definitely
no,
think
it's
it
not.
changes. I think, that first year of college and then, traveling around in the break period of school, I think that definitely helps them experience and change a lot. Um, but yeah, I mean, they end up together, but not really together at this point after she breaks it off with Jamie. And then
ends up
once
in
again,
Sweden.
they leave. Connell's crying. And then we fast forward to the wintertime because it's around the holiday season now.
Yep.
She's in Sweden with another weird
BDSM
guy.
dude.
Yeah. But
The
I
art
think this
dude,
time
yeah.
she kind of like told him that's
Yeah,
what she
she
liked.
egged that on. Yeah. But that
Because
just
yeah,
happened
because
to,
once again,
but it
it's
also
just the
happened to be who
whole.
he was anyways at
Yeah.
the same time.
That's who she's with, and Connell, he is now with actually somebody who's very
Helen.
nice, Helen, who super great to him.
Very good. He's doing
Unfortunate that
very
she
good.
gets
Yep.
caught up in between
He was the one
them.
I actually felt bad for the most of this entire arc of their relationship. She's genuinely who I felt bad for the most,
She got that
because
Arthur experience going on.
yeah, but at least she got a chance to walk away.
And
True.
it's first,
I will
and
still say you're not.
she first notices it when Marianne comes back
Yeah.
from Sweden because their friend, what was it? He committed suicide.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was at the funeral. The way he was always, his eyes was just meeting her across the room. She wasn't being introduced to anybody. He was just constantly leaving her. Like, yeah, he was not. It's funny because I've also been in that kind of situation. Well, not to the exact, but I know how it feels to someone you haven't seen in so long is now here, but someone that you're hanging out with, that you always hang out with, you're leaving them in the dust because, oh my god, I haven't seen you in so long. So I know on a platonic level how that feels, and how it feels to be in that situation of being left high and dry for, like, so I get it. And that's why I feel bad for her. At that point, I wouldn't have even invited you to the funeral. I don't even know why. Like you don't do that. If I was dating someone, I'm not gonna invite them to my cousin's funeral or something like that. Like that's
I
an
think
awkward ask.
it's one of those things where I don't. I think it's just one of those things where it's like you don't want to not do it, and then it be like, hey, why didn't you do this? Like,
Well, that would have caused the
I want
fight
to
no
be
matter
there
what.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I think it was just more of out of a respect thing, but I don't think he anticipated Marianne being there. Therefore, it kind of just spinning his whole world around. But it's also rekindles not their new relationship or like in a physical and loving way, but more of like a friendship for a bit. Until we get to the point where Marianne decides to come back, right?
Yes.
She decides to come back to Sligo. And at this point, they've been texting and they've been talking on the phone and on Skype. Love the Skype scenes. It was just a cool thing to see. And then yeah, at this point, she comes back into his life, and again, still more so as friends until we get to a point where Helen she can't be in between this irreplaceable love or whatever it is between them.
Packs them bags and is gone.
Yeah. And so now we're getting up to the
Crazy that
point
she
where
had to get to a point where she like literally had to physically pull Connell off of Marianne at the church. Like
which
that's
is like
crazy. When you get to the point like that,
he had tunnel vision. He had tunnel vision with him and Marianne.
She says like, "Yo, like we're in the church and you're just staring at her. You're just looking at her in the church. Wild, bro." And then there's not even a mourning period. There wasn't even a mourning period. And I want to say, in my own head, I want to believe like maybe they were dating for a year, maybe anywhere from 7 months to around 13 months. They had to have been together.
Helen and Connell?
Yes.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
yeah. So that's a long. That even when you're 21, 22, and you're spending a year all the time with someone intimate like that, he didn't even mourn that relationship 5 seconds. 5 seconds that relationship. Oh wait, I'm single again? Well, excuse me.
Yeah, it's wild.
Actually,
and then we get to once Marianne comes back, they're kind of in a relationship at this point. No, they very much are. Yeah, because
they don't even say, they just do it.
They spend the holiday together. She spends the holiday with Connell and his mother. Obviously, it's a much more wholesome household. They go to the New Year's party together.
And that's what I was bringing up earlier with the way that she doesn't, the way the show in general portrays worthlessness, self-made worthlessness, that insecurity of I am not good enough. And she brings it up to him where it's like, you brought me to this beautiful family, this Christmas and all that, and I just don't feel like I should be, like I don't feel worth it. She didn't feel worth being in there, and it sucks because of someone like that. And it's not even, I don't want to be a simp. I'm not gonna say, oh, beautiful girls shouldn't feel like that. No, it's just, if you're a good person with a kind heart and you just don't do anything to anybody, there should be no reason why Christmas and Thanksgiving, of all the days, you should be alone. No good person deserves to be alone on the holidays. And her mother doesn't even have any right to be upset that she didn't hit her up to let her know she was in town, because they didn't even show us that she got an invite.
Yeah, and why would she want to hit her up? Like, she would have hit her up to say she's in town and what, to not be home anyways, to still be out and about, to leave her, potentially with her piece of shit brother, which ends up we see happening, when she goes home and brother breaks her nose, or
I don't know if he broke.
I don't know if it broke it, but he definitely busted her open.
Yeah, he cracked that nose good, but yeah.
Obviously causing Connell to come and pick her up, and at this point her mother's like, oh, leave your keys and this and that and the next.
Fuck.
I tell you right now though, Paul Mescal, when he wants to be mad, he can look intimidating. Like when he does that angry face.
I'm sure we'll see plenty of that in Gladiator.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I cannot wait to see this man actually have an angry face. Like, if he cries once in that movie, I'm giving it 4 stars. I'm not giving it 5.
Yeah.
I want to finally be in a Paul Mescal movie where this man's not crying. Please don't.
No, yeah.
So yeah, so the holiday came. We have them spending this beautiful time together. We finally have Colin standing up for her, and it's kind of, actually, the more that I think about it now that I'm talking myself into it, it is kind of beautiful writing, like full circle writing of there was 3 big moments where he could have stood up for her and he didn't. And then when it finally mattered the most, like, I felt like of all the times that he could have stood up for her, this is where it mattered the most to show that she is not alone. And yeah, so I think that it is beautiful, beautiful writing. If only it worked.
And there was one point, I forgot which episode it was, but it was in this section. So obviously the first 3 sections we see Connell to end off each section walking and crying.
Yeah.
But there's a point in time in this section where it's not Connell, and instead it's Marianne who's in the middle of the street walking and crying. And I thought that was really cool. What else did we got here? We get to the season finale.
Why do you
before
say
we
it
get
doesn't work out? Okay, wait. Since this conversation isn't the season finale, go ahead, Jacob. Before we get
Wait,
into
what
it,
doesn't work out?
Dan said, unfortunately, it doesn't work out.
No, yeah. So we get to the season finale. Before we get to that conversation, we see them kind of getting it on, and I just want to point out this man is the most polite, dirty talker I've ever seen. He was so nice about it.
Oh yeah, when she was like, she's trying to get him to like smack her and choke her, and he's like, I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I like that.
And then there's one other thing. I forgot which episode it was, but it was like the first time that Connell was like, "I love you," and I was like, "Wow, that was fucking beautiful." But yeah, we get at this point, we're getting towards the end of like the season finale, and they have that very serious conversation where she tells Connell like, "Hey, you have a huge opportunity on your hands. Don't stay back here and not take it just because of me."
But see, that's what also pisses me off about it, because she could have left to New York, but her rationalization is, this is my home. I belong here. But you don't. There's nothing for you here. There's nothing. What is here that you need to objectively keep that you can't find somewhere else? And I get it, uprooting your life, not just to another country, to another continent, whole other language barrier. I mean, no, there's not even a language barrier, damn it. You speak
Well,
English here.
So you got to understand, right? At this point, when she's telling him he has to go, and she's settled back in Sligo and still going to university and whatnot. She's back, but she's back in university. She's with her friend. She has her friend group still. She's still with her friends. She's still having a great time. Obviously, she's not living with her mom and her brother anymore, but she's kind of settling in. She has a job, this, that, and the next. She's settling in. She's accepting what she has, and as to where Connell, on the other hand, never really settled in anywhere. He came back to Sligo to go live with his mom again. He didn't really have a job, a set job. He was just kind of working odd jobs and working what he could to make money. And with his, we never really get to see how good his writing or anything was.
No, I think he was an editor.
No, he's a writer.
Wasn't he? I could have sworn. No, he had a job. I think he had a job as an editor near the end of the series finale.
Yeah,
it was either editing or something.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But
yeah, we never got to see his writing. That's a shame.
The point is his work got recognized. He had a big opportunity, and I mean, she was right. Like he could take it. I think where I kind of irked me is she was like, I'll be back after the. He was like, oh, I'll be back after that year because it was only like a year-long thing.
Mhm.
And she was like, or maybe you won't. And it's like, well, why do you got to say that? Why do you got to like kind of put that into his head?
Is this the
Because
truth?
It is true, yes.
she's pushing him. She's basically saying it's like, you know,
She's
when you
gonna
drop your
be
dog off the side of the
there.
road and you say, get out of here, go. That's basically what she was doing. She was pushing him away from her. And I don't remember the exact line of dialogue, but I get it. Where I think it was her that said, like, you know, we were good, we did good for each other. Like what
Mhm.
we needed to do for each other. We did what we had to do to help our personalities grow and change. Like we were just this phase. We were supposed to do this, and now we can go take everything we learned from each other and apply it to our real life. But the hopeless romantic in me is just saying, like, guys, come on, just talk on Skype, long distance. It's only a year, okay. In 3 months, go take a visit. Go visit for a week. Like there's not this many barriers in the way of romance. I'm sorry, but it's just the way writers do it. It's just the way movies and TV do it for conflict, for you to feel that way. In real life, there are not this many barriers in between love. And if they are, knock them down. Keep the ones up that have to stay, but knock the ones down that are necessary. Too many times these relationships are built on sandcastles, damn it. And it breaks my heart because I love these. No, like you were saying with their chemistry, I didn't understand what you meant. I understood that I was going to see two people fall in love and that the actors were going to be great together. But I just didn't genuinely understand how much I would want them to be together. Like
Yeah.
they needed to be together. This isn't a matter of love no more. Like you two scientifically have to be together.
Mhm.
They are like we want to believe in our hearts that they're going to grow up, they're going to get older and change, things are going to move on, mentalities are going to grow, and I want to believe that, but I also there's a part of me that worries that they're never going to move on from that love. And if they do,
No,
it's going to take a long time.
it'll
It'll take a
always be there.
And he said it. He told her. He said, "If I get into another relationship, I won't love anybody the way I loved you."
Yeah,
Because
I mean,
and
it's
it and that sucks. That doesn't just suck for him. That sucks for the next girl that he gets with. Unless he genuinely falls in love with the next girl he's with, if it's just gonna be just like with Helen, it's gonna suck.
For
but
him
you
and
gotta
for
understand,
her.
even if he goes to New York, and falls in love with somebody, he's gonna still come back home and visit, and it's gonna be hard to escape all the memories and all the things he's built. And then obviously, if Marianne said she'll be there, it's gonna be hard escaping that and just all that feeling
The
rushing
only way
back.
he can do that is fly his mother out to visit instead of him visiting. He would have to fly his mom out to New
But he
York.
still has friends over there. He still has things over there.
Fly them all out.
But it's not as significant as a life change as it was for her. It's to where she kind of started an entire new life still in her hometown, just without her mother, without her brother.
But that's what's just gonna suck is now they're back to being alone.
Not necessarily. I mean,
No, they're
Marianne has her friends.
worse. If anything,
Has
she's
her friends.
worse.
Huh?
Oh no, yeah, no, you're right. You're right. She
Yeah,
does have her
they
friends.
showed at the end her going to school, her working, her with her friends,
Yeah, just because
doing
she
all
doesn't
these
have her
things.
mom and brother doesn't mean that she's alone. Okay,
But
no,
he is, he's going
he's
to
alone. Yeah,
uncharted territory. He's going to across the world.
those New York girls are going to eat that man alive. That poor guy. He's not gonna stand a chance.
But yeah, I mean, all in all, this is definitely a special limited series.
It's
Um,
something that's gonna make me want to read this book because I feel like not the storytelling aspect, the dialogue in this book must be next level. The conversations between these
right,
characters must be next level. I have to see how it looks.
and just even on it, like it was obviously my second watch through of it. I like for whatever reason forgot about that last conversation, and that shit broke me.
Mhm.
It was so simple but so effective.
Broke Dan
I
too.
was okay. I was
More than
okay
broke Dan.
until no, but the thing was I was fine. Like I don't want to say I was fine because I was getting emotional. Like I was looking at it like this, like sad. But I was dry-eyed
Yeah.
until she literally brought up the fact that we did so much good for each other, and now you'll go and
And I'll
I'll
stay.
stay, and we'll be that shit made me have to go outside and recuperate. That whole you'll go and I'll stay, just that one sent me over the top. That one was that was unfair. That was uncalled for. You did not have to say that. That was uncalled for. And we'll be okay. Man. And it's so beautiful because now this is the third year in a row that this actor has made me cry at something of his.
Yeah.
This is now the third time. This is now the third year in a row that I've watched a Paul Mescal project as a first watch and cried.
And this is the third project of his where he's in a nightclub dancing and just for whatever reason.
And this man just loves being depressed. Him and Jeremy Allen White, I have never seen two actors act like this is genuine. Like I'm not even trying to be funny. I've never seen two actors or just one actor take male loneliness, suicidal, depressing that we as men do feel even if we don't want to. Like I've never seen an actor personify everything a man feels when they're lonely, but use it as their acting style. It is
Mhm.
it's insane to me that Jeremy Allen White and Paul Mescal have literally never been in anything where they're playing a happy role.
Yeah.
It's sadness. It's sadness. But I'm glad I saw this. I'm glad we're kicking this off, a little appreciation month for Mr. Mescal or Mescal or however it's
And
pronounced.
shout out to him, this being like his first acting
This
credit.
is his debut, right?
Insane.
Yep.
Yeah, because
Yes.
I was hearing that before this he was just doing commercials. Like he did cut his teeth doing little things here and there. But this was his acting debut. That is insane that this
Insane.
man he can cry like that with no practice.
The Irish actors are next level. I'll stand on that. I'll die on that hill. Irish
No,
actors are
yeah,
the best working actors today.
they all are. They all are. But
But
anything else we want to say here?
no,
Ready
that
to
I
sign
think
this
we're
off?
that kicks us. That's
on our
the
next
start.
episode, Jacob. Where will we be?
We will be for the month of Mescal.
Yes, my
Or
son.
Mescal. I gotta get it in my
Month
head. I
of
don't know why
mescal,
I say
baby.
mezcal like he's a fucking bottle of tequila.
That's why.
Uh, the month of Paul Mescal. We will be going into his first feature film, After Sun. One that me and Daniel have both watched on more than one occasion.
Because we're just
Sean
crazy.
has not watched it. And I think that out of any of the projects that we're going to be tackling, this one might be the hardest hitting one for Sean. Obviously, given the
Like we might
subject
actually
matter.
have to make sure he is okay. Like
Given
we
the
might
subject
actually have to make
matter,
sure he's okay.
so it's going to be an interesting watch. It'll definitely be an interesting watch. But yes, so normal people. Um, is first.
Check it
We have
out.
After Sun. After that, we will have All of Us Strangers following that. And then ending the month will be Gladiator 2, because obviously we have to wait until it comes out.
Obviously, but all good.
But yeah, Daniel, you already know what time it is.
And you listeners know what time it is. It's time for you to give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. Remember, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Apple, Spotify. We are wherever you type the name SofaBros Podcast. But until that next beautiful Mescal movie, the bell has rung, my friends. Class dismissed.